Welcome to California Stories, the first episode of California Stories,
You know,
a show with one of my good friends, close friends, Russell Rabb. Russell, how are you doing?
good man, chilling as always, brother.
Well, I'm excited to do this show. It's been talked about, and now here we are finally here. Let's just explaining to the audience what this show is about. It is a show, it's a weekly show where Russell and I either will swap or tell a story or tell two stories, whatever the case may be, share our experiences in California. Now, I don't know if anybody that's watching has ever been to California, but California is a crazy fucking place. Now, I didn't know anything about it. I went into California back in 2006. Russell, for those that are watching, is currently in there. And how long have you been there in California?
I've lived here for about 5 years.
5 years? And you're still alive.
Still here, man.
I'm sure you can do this whole damn show by your damn self. 5 years of California stories?
I have plenty. I have.
That's crazy. Well, yeah, I'm gonna go first, and I'm gonna tell it. This is like the first time that I ever joined, not joined, but came to California when I was trying to go into my acting career, um, fresh out of college, and I didn't know anything. I had never ever been to California, never been even close to that side of the United States of America. So, when I graduated from college, I had a class where I had to pass the final in order to pass the class, and I didn't even know if I was going to pass the final or not. It was a class that I had already failed before, and I was like, I'm not. I think it was philosophy, and I was like, oh my god, if I don't pass the test though, I literally don't graduate.
Right.
So, and like they don't give you the results for the test until I don't know, maybe like a week later or something like that. I forget how long, but it wasn't like the next day you would find out if you passed that. It was definitely a few days to a week. And after taking that test, I packed up my car because I was so ready. I'm like, I've been waiting all this time to leave college and go to California and pursue my dream in acting. That I packed up the car the day after this final. I sold everything that I had. I got on the road and I drove from Detroit, Michigan, all the way to California, straight through, nonstop,
Really?
no breaks,
So,
no, let's stop at a hotel or anything. I drove straight through from Detroit all the way to California,
wow.
and that's a 36-hour drive for anybody that wants to know. I I will be honest, probably about 14 hours in, I was very loopy. I
And you,
I was by myself. To be driving by yourself that long straight makes you loopy. I got to Utah. I'm driving up in the mountains of Utah. And I remember like there's only one lane going this way and one lane going the other way. I'm driving up inside of these mountains, and you could look over out of your passenger or driver window, and it's just a complete drop. Like if at nighttime, no rail or anything. Like literally, if you make one little swerve on accident, you're a fucking goner. You're done. You're dead. Just consider your body missing, like old girl from the that hotel Cecilia. What was it? Cecil, the Cecil. Like you're gone. You disappeared. No one knows. Like if that was to happen. So I'm driving. I make it all the way up to Utah. I'm loopy. I'm crazy. I finally make it. Finally make it. I'm approaching the border of California. I'm so excited. I see it coming up to me. Oh, here it is. I'm finally here in California. I cross over the border of California. I'm driving. This is where the story starts. I'm driving on the interstate or highway, whatever, and I notice that people are driving past me really fast. I'm doing the speed limit, mind you, maybe like 70, maybe five over. So let's say if it was 75, I'm doing 80. Okay? Maybe at most. People are passing me by. I'm like, why is everybody speeding inside this bad boy? I said, I just ignore it. Maybe it's just me. I'm just, everyone speeds like I do. So um, they're doing whatever they're doing. So people are kind of getting pissed at me because they're behind me honking. I'm not moving on. I'm still going 80 because I'm like, they're definitely doing a lot faster. So, I'm getting over, I'm getting the finger here and there. And I'm like, what is going on? So I increased my speed. Now I'm doing, let's say 90. I'm doing 90 miles per hour. Okay? After entering for a little bit into California.
Pressure, man. You failed the peer pressure.
Now they're still on my ass, honking, giving me the finger, passing me by. They're still going faster than me at 90. I'm like, bro, okay, I'll pick it up. Let's say I kicked it up to 100. I kicked it up to 100 miles per hour. There's still, I mean, that's barely keeping up with whatever they were doing entering California. The police went by me at like 120 miles per hour, like, and they probably gave me the finger. Like, at this point, I'm just like, is this just the normal? But it's just crazy about the traffic because that was the traffic entering California, and my stay there while in California was unique because the traffic there is different than anything that I've experienced here inside of Michigan. So much so to the point where it's either speeding or it's not fucking going anywhere because of all the fucking people that are just on the freeway apparently going the same way both directions. Like, there's too many people always. I think there's like an hour I saw of downtime where you can actually drive somewhere and get around. Now I don't know, this is back in 2006, 2007. I don't know how much has changed. I know that they built some freeways or building some freeways before I left. So I don't know how much has changed, but that was my experience. It was a crazy fucking time.
So let me just back up. So okay, so first of all, you drove straight. So you got in your car, gassed it up, and you just hit the road. I'm assuming like what I-40 going west or
This was so long ago, I don't even remember
going
like
that way.
the exact
Okay.
name of the freeway, but I literally whatever. And this was before phones that you can type in the thing. I had MapQuest where I had to
Ooh,
print out
the
like
print
I had MapQuest where
that
I'm reading papers and
that
in the
man.
mountains, in the mountains. I'm reading papers where to go. If I would have looked at that paper once, I'm done. Hotel Cecil, I'm out.
Wow, that's crazy. So now, when you first entered into California, where was your entering point? Like, what city was that? Like, where? Because California is a big state, so we got to get more specific on where you were.
You're
Where you
asking
at?
me to recall shit from so far. I don't remember. I did go through Utah, Arizona, like for a little bit for Arizona, Nevada. So
So your destination point was what city? Where were you headed to?
I stayed in Moreno Valley, which is near a city called Riverside, I believe. It's like a college town, um, inside of Southern California, maybe about 45 minutes away from Hollywood, LA area.
Right. So you're headed towards. So you had your spot. You're ready to go. So you're heading towards that. So you got here and you're going 100 miles an hour on whatever expressway that was. So probably the 101 or the 405, one of those jokers. And
Oh, I haven't heard 405 in a long time. That was the freeway. That was the main one.
that's one of them. Yeah, yeah. There's the five. There's a whole there's several of them. Just like we have 94 and 696 and 96 and et cetera in Michigan. But so
Which,
you're
by the way, to all the viewers, Russell is originally from Michigan, so he understands like the stuff that I have gone through in terms of traffic for this particular story, compared to the traffic now. And I'm sure that you've had experience with traffic, but go ahead. I'm sorry.
no. I mean, traffic is it is a it's an extreme difference. And whenever you get here, traffic is just bad here. But I live in Los Angeles. You know what I mean? The further away you get from Los Angeles, the better the traffic is. The closer you start getting into pre-COVID, into like downtown and all that stuff, man, traffic is just ridiculous. It's insane.
Yeah, but
So
the thing is I when I was down there in all that crazy traffic, and I guess this is a, I don't want to say it's another story I'm sharing, but I was in traffic down there where I literally when I first got there, it took me 45 minutes to get to Hollywood. No traffic. Apparently, I traveled during that 1 hour where it's like no traffic. And then I came back. It took me 6.5 hours to get back home. I sat in one spot. I fell asleep, took a nap for 3 hours. I woke up. I still hadn't moved. I was inside of the same spot.
that it isn't like that. Not shifting around. Not to take this take hours to get really anywhere. Um,
Bro,
you know,
I'm telling
from
you this.
Hollywood to like North Hollywood. I mean, like nowadays. So even getting here, although traffic is bad, um, it isn't like 5 6 hours go one way. unless there's even if there's an accident, which happens, on freeways a lot. Even with that, you can go from downtown LA to, you know, I don't know, Santa Clarita, if you're familiar. If anybody that's watching it who knows what I'm talking about, going to like Santa Clarita or like Valencia, which is, or Six Flags. So to go from like where I live at, which is like downtown LA, to like Six Flags is about 40 minutes or so. Traffic can get bad, you maybe an hour, maybe, but
Well, then shit's really changed because that was not. I remember how bad. Most times it was like 3, 4 hours. I was doing a lot of movies and TV shows out there where like the call time might be 6 o'clock, and in order for me not to be late, I would have to leave Moreno Valley at like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning just to try and get there in time. And sometimes I would make it to sets like barely just in time. Um, you know, they would always say call whatever, and I was going to different areas. It could be Long Beach, it could be Valencia, like you say, Santa Clara, Clarita. It just varied. And I remember when I came home and being able to actually drive somewhere that didn't take even more than like 20 minutes was
yeah,
like beautiful. I was like, what? Like my road rage really, I had road rage, but it really got out of control when I got there to California.
yeah.
And then it went down a little bit when I got back here. I wasn't really as upset.
Well, I mean, and then of course, California is a big space. So depending on where specifically you're talking about, because if you're around, um, a lot of the touristy spots. If you go into like the Hollywood sign or in like West Hollywood, places like that, um, traffic can be a little thicker. If you're going from like the Valley, which is that's like Warner Brothers and all that stuff, to like, if you're going from there to like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, you know 45 minutes, maybe, you know what I mean, give or take some talent. But as far as, i don't think i've I don't think I've ever sat in traffic for hours at a time, outside of
So you've
certain.
been there for 5 years from right now, 5 years before. So
I would say, well, to be more precise, like like 4.5, but basically, yeah, somewhere around there. So I got here like 2015, 2016,
yeah,
somewhere around
this
there.
was 2006, 2007.
Yes.
And yeah, it was like that all
Well,
the
I mean,
time.
even then, because I was going back and forth. I was doing television programs, and in 2006, I was out here, and it wasn't like that at all. I was over towards the like Universal. What we were filming at was on the Universal lot, and the traffic really, but it's a certain pocket. If you're far out, you know what I mean, which we weren't. We're pretty much where all the studios are at, and that was 2000, 2006. And then I did a movie before that. That was 2003, 2002, somewhere around there. And I guess it depends on like where you go, but I know that to be in traffic for 6 hours is
I
out. That
counted
is
the hours. It took me
brutal.
6.5 hours to get back.
Yeah,
Like I finished on a set at like maybe 4 or 5, which is unusual early for a set. I didn't get home until like midnight ish, and I had to be up for another set that I think I ended up canceling because I was like, bro, I gotta sleep. Like, is every day gonna be like this? You know what I mean? And that's why everybody's doing 150 fucking miles per hour on the freeway. Like, I
well,
don't get it.
yeah. So people are. I'm trying to get the mechanics. So if they're doing 100 miles an hour, then why is it taking 6 hours to get home? If everybody's
This
doing 100.
this was in the entrance into California.
Oh, you
But when
got
I got into California where traffic is bad, then it took a long time.
you.
So I don't know if it's different in different areas, but this was my experience coming into California, just crossing the border in
That's
California. And then I still probably was driving for another 3 or 4 hours before I made it to maybe even more than that, maybe
yeah.
5 hours before I made it to the actual destination of
Traffic.
Moreno
Yeah.
Valley.
Traffic is probably one of the biggest things that is like, this is the worst traffic. Well, I would say the worst. I would say LA traffic.
What city are you in?
I'm in LA. Like, I'm actually in Los Angeles. I live down the street from the Staples Center. So I can walk out of my house and walk down the street and go to the Staples Center. So I'm like downtown, downtown.
Huh. Okay.
So some people will say, well, because it's just easier to say just LA if you're in a city that's around LA. Because if you say Glendale, people don't know what that is. Where is that at? Or you say some other, you know, random city that somebody may not know what it is. So you just say LA, but I'm actually in, like, my address is Los Angeles.
Wow.
So yeah, and that traffic is crazy. When like conventions and things like that happen downtown or any games, traffic really wasn't quite as bad. Well, when LeBron James came to the Lakers, it was like, here we go. And then traffic was just like during games. When COVID hit, traffic was a breeze. It really was a breeze. You can get anywhere.
Oh, I mean, the
Um,
same way here. I was just like, man, what, is no one out doing? And obviously, no, no one was out doing anything. I'm
Oh heck no! And people are doing really. People were stuck in their homes, and then you had like these different orders that were making you stay home. You don't come out, stay in your house, all that crazy jazz. So that was a great advantage if you had to be out, um, you know, out in the on the street, if you will. But traffic, man, is so crazy. There's so many freaking different rules, and when you move different places, you have to learn traffic laws and all that is a whole different ball of wax. I know I failed my first driving test because you have to get an ID or a license rather, and you have to take a test. They make you take a test. At least
You
here you do.
mean to be a driver in California?
You get a California driver's license. You have to take a driver's test. 100%.
Well, they used to have to take a driver's test here. I mean, they just don't. You got to
No,
take a
but I'm saying
class.
like if you have like I'm sure you have a valid Michigan driver's license. If you move anywhere, if you become a resident of that particular place, you got to get a license.
Is one of the questions on that driver's test like if the speed limit is 75, do you do 100, 105,
No,
110?
it's just you push it to your foot can't go no further. That's the rule.
That's what they were
Really
doing.
it's so well. I mean, not necessarily California because different areas have different rules. In Los Angeles, um, there's a bunch of weird different rules, man. That I failed. If the street is painted, the curb is painted red. You can't park here. But if it's painted green or painted yellow, there's loading
Well,
zones.
I can see how that's a possibility because I got my passport to go other places besides Canada, but I actually went to Canada, and I could do Windsor stories off a day from that one night for a couple hours of going to Windsor. But I almost like their traffic is just different. They have one light directing both sides, and I'm just not used to that, and it's weird. So I can see why they would have those kind of precautions so that you're used to driving inside of California.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's crazy. And I think driving, because I've moved several times in different places around the world, but here it's like, um, I think because people say the drivers are so crazy, but when you imagine, especially in like Hollywood, in LA, whatever, you have different people that drive a certain way wherever they're from. So you have Michigan drivers, Florida drivers, New York drivers, Texas drivers, and you're putting them all in one city. So I'm used to the way that I know how to drive where I'm from, but then this guy over here from Minnesota, he doesn't drive the same way. And this lady over here from Omaha, and it goes on and on and on. And then you end up realizing like, you know, you know how to drive, it's just hard to get everybody on the same page when you're riding around, you know. But a lot of places, because the parking is so bad, you don't really drive a whole lot of places because the parking is bad. So then you just, you may hop, get an Uber or some other transportation. As a matter of fact, LA, just speaking specifically just on LA, there's trains, buses. People don't even realize that there's a transit system like that in Los Angeles because you don't really talk about it that much as you would like a Chicago or like a New York. But it's here. You drive by all the time, but you got some characters on there, man. Like any train system, but The driving, you just get, I don't like to drive. I hate it. So if I could, you know, fly or get chauffeured anywhere, if any type of a film or whatever it is, the show that I'm working on, if they got somebody that would pick me up, absolutely. It's just
Well,
easier that way.
I have I have learned my lesson from that experience of going into there, what it's like, and I'm sure that, like you said, it's changed since then. I've always been asked, am I ever going to go back? And if I do go back, I will go with a car that can go 140 miles per hour or higher, to be able to keep up, just in case I'm inside of that area that cannot. So that is my California story. That is my experience. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. I cannot wait to hear one of your crazy stories. For to be there for 4 or 5 years, and for you to have that experience, I can't wait to hear, what you have experienced. I just felt like the best place for me to start is that beginning. When I first entered. But I can assure you, when we alternate and it gets to my turn again, I've had experiences deep inside of the depths of California. So thank you so much, Russell, for being on. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Any last words you have before I close out the show?
Nothing much, man. Just love to be on the show. I can't wait for the next one.
Well, thank you, everybody, so much. And check us out next week on California Stories.